Good morning class, how are you all? Good? Great. Today we will discuss a new chapter and the name of the chapter is The Passing Away of Bapu. What is the name? The name of the chapter is The Passing Away of Bapu by Nayantara Sahgal. Before we start the text, I will tell you something about the writer. It will be very good. Nayantara Sahgal was one of the first female writers in India. At the same time, she was born on 1927 and at 1986 she got the Sahitya Akademi Award for her novel Rich Like Us. Before I start, I will tell you one thing. This particular text which we will read today is not something Nayantara Sahgal decided to write on. It is a real life experience of her. As we dove into the text, we can see the text began like any other ordinary evening. Because the author was having a cup of tea on the evening of 30th January 1948 when she was called to the Birla House by an urgent telephone. Mahatma Gandhi had been shot on his way to a prayer meeting and she was numb with shock as she got into the car. Now, within the first couple of lines, what we can say, we can see the shooting occurred on the date of 30 January 1948. Please remember this particular date. And the evening started like any other ordinary evening. She was having a cup of tea, she might be gossiping with her family. Suddenly, she got a call. From where? From the Birla House. Why? Because Gandhiji was going to a prayer meeting and he had been shot. And suddenly the writer was numb with shock. Why numb? Because we are talking about Bapu, or as we know, Mahatma Gandhi. Forget about Mahatma Gandhi. If you suddenly receive the news of this kind of activity of your close friends people or any of your relatives, you will be shocked. In the next para, what we will see? In the next para, we can see in the Birla House, Gandhiji's follower and his relative gathered around his body. There was a silence in the room as Gandhiji breathed his last. After that, what happened? In the next line, what we can see when she arrived at the Birla House, Gandhiji was still alive. But after her arrival, Gandhiji breathed his last and his followers and his relatives were surrounding him. After that, the news of Bapu's death had spread through Delhi like a fire fanned by wind. Just look at this couple of words. Fire fanned by wind. What can we understand with this? Suppose there was a fire and if you use a fan or there was wind, the fire will spread faster. The news of Bapu's death did the exact same thing. After that, sad-looking men and women gathered around the Birla House. Out of every window, one can see brown faces. Why brown faces? Because every one of them was sad. We are talking about the death of Mahatma Gandhi. The whole nation was sad. Whoever heard the news gathered around the Birla House and they were all sad. After that, we can see none of them made any kind of movement. They were all silent. And the writer mentioned this kind of silence as unnatural silence. Why unnatural? Because you can go anywhere. You will hear a little bit of sound of everything. But when the sad-looking men and women gathered around the Birla House, there was a pin drop silence, meaning one cannot hear anything. From a very early age, all of us have heard something. Time and tide wait for none. That means time and wave will not wait for anybody. But what can we see here? Here we see the unnatural silence, as if the time had stopped within those few moments. Meaning, after the death of Gandhiji, we can realize or we can feel that the time forgot to move. Like someone has to remember the time that your word or you have to move. That is your one and only word. So, let's recap. In the first para, what have we heard or what have we learned? The evening began like anything else. It was normal. After that, suddenly the writer heard the news of Gandhiji's death, or Gandhiji had been shot by a telephone. He rushed to the Birla House. Once she arrived to the Birla House, Gandhiji breathed his last. The news of Bapu's death had spread through Delhi like a wildfire. Sad-looking men and women had gathered around his place, the Birla House. None of them were talking. It was a complete silence, like it was an unnatural event. So, what we will do from this particular part, please remember the death of Gandhiji. We called him Bapu, but his real name is Mahatma Gandhi. And some of the words like fire, fan by wind, like the writer here tried to show us the intensity of the fire, or how a simple news, I am telling it simple because it is just about death. Every day we hear, every day we can hear the death of some people, but here the writer particularly point out this particular thing because it was the death of Mahatma Gandhi and the whole nation was in shock. First it was a shock, then it was the news of something very sad, and because of that only the whole nation was still in that moment as if they forgot to breathe and there was no sound.